It always starts the same way. Quiet cabin, a locked door, the comfort of a warm fire. And then, by morning, that same door, somehow wide open, snow or no snow, summer or winter now. You can probably already imagine how that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. But what if I told you that this wasn't just a weird draft or a door frame shifting with age, or somebody forgetting to lock up tight? What if I told you the night the mystery finally revealed itself? I was alone, in the dead of winter, with nothing but a wood stove, my own courage, and a nightmare that seemed to crawl straight out of my subconscious and plant itself in reality. That night still haunts me, and even now when I tell this story, part of me feels like I'm back in that cabin again. Staring at the snow-covered floor, my breath fogging the freezing air, wondering if I was about to see something my brain still refuses to process. So let me take you back, because this isn't just another spooky cabin in the woods tale. This was real. It happened to me, and the ending will leave you questioning what really stalks the woods out there in the Washington mountain range. The cabin was my parents' idea. They wanted a retreat, a place tucked away from the city, somewhere quiet, somewhere you could hear the wind whistle through the pines and nothing else. They found this little place up in the mountains of Virginia. Simple, it's wooden, a little rough around the edges, but perfect in their eyes. My mom and my sister started going there on weekends. It's just to get away, spend time together, enjoy the silence of the woods. But almost immediately, something strange kept happening. Every morning, no matter how careful they were, no matter how many times they checked the locks, they would wake up and find the side door of the cabin wide open. Not unlocked, open, swinging, letting in the night air now. I remember my mom telling me about it in this half-annoyed, half-nervous voice. She'd say, "We must not have shut it right. Maybe the latch doesn't catch." But she'd also say, "The weird thing is, it's never open when we arrive. It's only after we've stayed the night." That gave me a little pause when I first heard it. But being young and, honestly, a little arrogant, I laughed it off. "You're just not pulling it tight," I told her. "Old cabin doors swell and shift all the time. It's just wood warping." I didn't really believe anything supernatural was going on. I mean, come on, it's a door. But the way my mom described it stuck with me. And eventually curiosity got the better of me one winter. I decided to test it for myself. I'd spend a night in the cabin, alone. Just me, the cold, and the so-called door problem. If it opened on its own while I was there, I'd see it happen and figure out the cause. That was the plan anyway. I still remember that night so vividly. The drive out was long and winding, the kind of mountain road where your headlights cut through mist and the trees close in like walls on either side. By the time I pulled up in my Jeep, night had already swallowed the woods and a light snow was drifting down. It was bone cold. My dashboard thermometer read 13 degrees Fahrenheit, and that chill seemed to sink straight into my bones the second I stepped outside. I'll admit it trite then. I already regretted my decision. I kept thinking, what am I doing out here? It's freezing. I could be home under a warm blanket. But pride's a funny thing. I'd committed, so I wasn't about to back out. I hauled in some wood, got the little stove blazing, and piled on logs until the flames roared. I wanted that place as warm as it could get. Then, before heading to bed, I shut the door. Not just shut it, I locked it, pulled it, tested it 3, 4, 5 times. I was almost mocking the whole idea. There, I thought, no chance this thing's opening tonight. And with that, I settled in. The cabin had electricity, so I flicked off the light and climbed under a pile of quilts, listening to the crackle of the stove, trying to relax. The wind outside howled against the walls, rattling branches across the roof, but inside, cocooned in the quilts. I drifted off to sleep. That's when the nightmare came. In the dream, I woke up shivering. The cabin was icy cold. I walked out from the bedroom toward the stove, shuffling through the dark, rubbing my arms. That's when I saw at the door, wide open, the snow blowing in. And then as I turned to the left, I saw something that froze me, harder than the cold ever could. A tall, lizard-like demon, scaly, lean, its body shifting unnaturally, and its eyes 2 glowing red orbs, burning holes straight through me. It just stood there watching. I jolted awake, gasping, drenched in sweat despite the frigid air. My heart was pounding. For a second I lay there, catching my breath, trying to shake it off. Great, I muttered to myself. Middle of nowhere, freezing cold, and now I'm scaring myself with nightmares. But then I noticed something. It wasn't just cold in the dream. It was cold now. Really cold. Colder than it should have. Been with the stove going. I sat up, confused, and felt the air sting my skin like I'd stepped outside. That's when dread started to crawl up my spine. I climbed out of bed, quilt wrapped around my shoulders, and stepped toward the main room. My feet crunched on something. I looked down. Snow. The door was wide open, exactly like in the dream. My stomach dropped. For a moment, I couldn't move. The nightmare was unfolding in real time. I knew the next part was supposed to be the demon, standing there with those red eyes. Panic kicked in. I yelled a raw, startled sound and scrambled for the light switch like my life depended on it. My hands fumbled across the wall until the bulbs flickered on. Nothing, no demon. No glowing eyes. Just the open door, snow drifting across the wooden floor, the fire nearly dead in the stove. I ran to the doorway, heart hammering, expecting to see footprints, some kind of sign that something had been there. But the snow outside was untouched. Not a single track. I stood there shivering, the wind blowing flakes into my face, and my brain went into overdrive. I'm an engineer by nature. My mind looks for logical explanations. So I forced myself to reason it out. Heat expansion would shift. Maybe the latch didn't catch. But deep down, that explanation didn't sit right. I knew how hard I'd locked that door. That night, I didn't sleep much. And after that, I avoided the cabin. For a long time, years passed, life moved on. Eventually, a house was built across the street from the cabin. A young family moved in, and one day I wandered over to introduce myself. It was a pleasant enough chat at first. The father seemed happy. Told me they loved the area, the quiet, the space, the mountain air. It's a great place for the kids, he said, though he chuckled nervously. They're still getting used to it, though. Bit spooked by country life. I laughed politely and asked what he meant. Spooked how? And then he said it. Well, he shrugged. They keep saying a monster comes into their room at night. I swear, the blood drained from my face in that instant. My skin went cold. That was it. It was the connection. That open door. That nightmare. That sense of something watching from the shadows of the cabinet wasn't just in my head. Someone else was experiencing it too, and they weren't even in the same house. To this day, I can't explain it. Was it some strange shift in the old wood, or was there something far darker tied to that patch of mountain? I'll never know. But I'll tell you one thing. When I think back to that night, standing there in the glow of the stove, staring at snow blowing across the cabin floor with the open door, yawning into blackness, I can still feel the same fear, and every time I picture those neighbors' kids, whispering about a monster in their room, I wonder if maybe, just maybe, the demon with the red eyes never really left. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more true chilling encounters, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and follow the channel Truth Reads Uncovered. There are plenty more stories waiting to keep you up at night.